Let's get right into the most scandalous headlines of the moment. Keir Starmer has dropped a bombshell with his recent comments on working people that have left Brits fuming ahead of Labour's upcoming budget. But before we dive into this explosive story, make sure you're subscribed for all the latest updates as we bring you the stories the mainstream doesn't want you to know about. So, here's what happened. This past week, while addressing leaders at the Commonwealth Summit, Starmer was asked to clarify who he considers working people. A straightforward question. Perhaps. But his response has triggered a firestorm of backlash. According to the Prime Minister, working people means those who go out and earn their living, and even more provocatively, those who can't write a cheque to get out of difficulties. Almost immediately, critics jumped in to decry what they see as Starmer's narrow and, frankly, confusing definition. Does this mean that anyone with investments, property income or savings suddenly isn't considered working? Starmer tried to soften his stance through a spokesperson who clarified that he includes those with a small amount of savings. Yet, this clarification has only further muddied the waters, sparking fury across the nation. Andy Preston, former mayor of Middlesbrough, has been among the most vocal critics. Speaking to GB News, Preston called Starmer's remarks shambolic and took aim at Labour's performance as a whole since taking power. "This is shambolic," he ranted. "Everything that this government touches seems to go wrong when it's about the small stuff. For the sake of everyone, I hope they get their act together." Preston, like many others, believes that Labour's policies are confusing at best and catastrophic at worst. And the tax controversy around working people comes at the worst possible time, with the budget just days away. Preston claimed that Labour has failed to be transparent about how taxes will rise and who will bear the brunt, leading to a rapid drop in the party's popularity. He elaborated, "If Labour had been upfront from the start and said there's going to be temporary pain but long-term gain, maybe people would have been more understanding." Instead, he accused them of hiding the truth, suggesting that Labour is now paying the price for it. This ambiguity has sparked anxiety among Britons across the country, particularly as they face what many are calling a tax storm. When GB News host Anne Diamond asked Preston if he believes all Britons will feel the impact of Labour's budget, his answer was a grim one. According to Preston, the government's lack of transparency and clarity on who will pay more taxes is a ticking time bomb, with everyone feeling a little bit poorer as costs continue to rise. Preston added, "There's no doubt that we're all going to be a little bit poorer, and as a politician, you can get away with that if you're clear and say it's temporary." But it's not just regular Britons expressing concern. Business leaders, too, are reportedly worried about Labour's latest moves. Preston hinted that the confusion is also taking a toll on consumer sentiment and business confidence, with a noticeable downturn in both the housing market and retail sales. The messaging around tax policies is inconsistent, he argued, leaving even Labour supporters confused. The business community is baffled, consumer sentiment has plummeted, and now the government's reputation is on the line, Preston continued, ending with a bleak prediction. "I predict Keir Starmer won't last the full 5 years if things continue like this." The controversy has also spilled over into Labour's environmental policies. In breaking news, Labour's proposed environmental changes for the motoring sector have provoked a strong response from drivers and advocacy groups alike. With Chancellor Rachel Reeves set to unveil the budget soon, motorists are bracing themselves for what they're calling a tax raid. Reeves has hinted at tough decisions, and speculation is rife that these might include increases in fuel duty, insurance levies, and car taxes. The British Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association, BVRLA, has even issued an urgent appeal, asking the government to avoid placing additional financial strain on UK motorists. Among the demands, the BVRLA is pushing for a standardised benefit-in-kind BIK tax rate, specifically for electric vehicles. Currently, BIK for electric vehicles stands at 2%, with planned yearly increases that could make this less affordable for drivers. The BVRLA has also called on the government to stabilise the used electric vehicle market through VAT reductions and grants. They argue that a strong EV market is crucial for the UK's green goals, but without government support, the EV sector may not grow fast enough to meet climate targets. The pressure doesn't stop there. The zero-emission vehicle mandate requires a commitment to phase out petrol and diesel cars by 2030. Labour's green goals are clear, but many say they aren't realistic. The BVRLA is demanding that the government keep BIK rates low for EVs to help consumers make the switch. There's also a call for more support for commercial vehicles, including grants for vans and improved charging infrastructure. The motoring sector and environmental groups alike are waiting to see if Labour will offer concrete support in the upcoming budget, but the backlash doesn't end with Labour's environmental plans. Another shocking development comes from the Climate Change Committee, CCC, which is calling for dramatic reductions in meat and dairy consumption to meet the UK's net zero targets. According to CCC Chair Piers Forster, the UK needs to slash meat and dairy intake by 50%, encouraging a shift to plant-based alternatives. The goal is to significantly reduce methane emissions by cutting down on livestock farming. However, this proposal has been met with outrage. Shadow Energy Secretary Claire Coutinho has warned that such policies risk public unrest. According to Coutinho, forcing people to alter their diets without public support or global cooperation could create a significant backlash. David Handley from Farmers for Action called the proposals devastating, arguing that British farming is being unfairly targeted when the impact of methane is small compared to other sources of pollution. This bold dietary push has left both farmers and consumers asking how much more they will have to sacrifice to meet Labour's green targets. The CCC has defended its position, arguing that these dietary changes are essential for reducing emissions. But as Labour faces pushback from farmers who fear the changes could compromise UK food production, it remains to be seen if the government will heed their warnings. In the midst of all this, business leaders, such as those represented by the Confederation of British Industry, are voicing support for a balanced approach to the environment. They argue that while the government's climate ambitions are necessary, they need to be met with clear, consistent actions. Tanya Kumar, a director at the CBI, said the CCC's recommendations highlight the need for strong partnership between business and government, while urging Labour to take a balanced, realistic approach. As Labour inches closer to the big budget reveal, the question remains, will Starmer and his team deliver a transparent, realistic financial plan, or will they continue to face accusations of confusing definitions, hidden agendas, and policies that leave Britons worse off? So, what do you think is Starmer's definition of working people, an insult to ordinary Britons, or a misunderstood attempt to clarify his vision for the nation? And how will Labour's environmental and motoring policies impact you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive updates on the news that matters most to you.